Good morning to all our viewers and welcome to the first of many of these sit-downs with the Executive Mayor of Nelson Mandela Bay, Mr. Nqaba Bhanga. With these virtual sessions, the Express aims at giving the community a sort of direct line to the Mayor about municipal concerns or issues that they might have. A moment with the Mayor will take place once a month. The community is invited to send their questions or issues to the Express, and some of these questions will be sent to the Mayor for feedback. Viewers are welcome to send their questions during the live show by leaving a comment, and a few of these queries will be put to Mayor Bhanga at the end of the show. So let's bring on the man of the moment, Mayor Bhanga.
I want to greet all the viewers and the listeners, wherever they are, in this moment in our city, where we are bidding farewell to one of our greatest community activists, Mama Milisane Jumata Majola, a mother to Gerald Majola and Kaya Majola, people who built a cricket today. It is for that reason that I've delayed, because I had, as a first citizen, go and salute once more these women who had all the accolades from the province, honored by the municipality, honored by the provincial government, and honored by the national government on her social and community work. And it's a sad day today as we're burying her at the Federal Market Wall. Therefore, I had to apologize. In an African culture, you do not leave a funeral of a stalwart. My heart is so broken, but I have dual responsibilities also to serve the city as broad as it is. Therefore, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, and thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the first ever A Moment with the Mayor. And since you mentioned that you had to attend a funeral this morning, we would like to thank you very much for taking time for joining us and basically taking time out of your busy schedule to sit down with us and the residents of Nelson Mandela Bay. We appreciate that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor, we have received quite a few queries from residents in Nelson Mandela Bay, but I would like to put you in the hot seat first before we get to those questions. So, just something from our side, Mr. Mayor. We know that we are in the middle of a crippling drought and that our dam levels are at an all-time low. But in some areas, residents have been experiencing dry taps every single day, especially in the mornings. The water sometimes comes back by noon and sometimes not at all for a few days. Some areas experience this, others do not. Could you please explain why exactly this is happening? Is it because there just isn't any water in our dams anymore? Or does it perhaps have something to do with the reservoirs running low and maybe taking some time to fill up?
I must say, firstly, that we are in a drought situation. You might be the first one to know that we have at the end been able to convince government to declare our city as a drought disaster city. It has been difficult to do that. I'm sure the minister will then announce soon. Our dam levels are at 10.10% as we speak right now. We don't know what this rain is going to bring us in terms of the catchment area. Therefore, we're faced with a very serious water crisis. The Kocha Dam, we're no longer extracting water from that dam, which is going to affect in particular areas such as Kwanubuhle in Unit by the end of July, where the ports might be empty. Kwanubuhle. It is for that reason that we're building the Stanford Road pipeline to connect there in order for us to avoid that situation. And I have also tried to augment the teams that are building this 5-kilometer long pipeline to make sure that the timeline that was September, at least to bring it very close to August. Therefore, we are in a water crisis into our city. Remember, our infrastructural level, we have a very old infrastructure in terms of our pipelines. Some are 100 years old. Therefore, we have a backlog of not less than 2.9 billion, a backlog of infrastructural backlog
Mm-hmm.
into our city. So these things are going to happen. But when they happen, is that we maintain them, we change those pipelines because we do
Mm-hmm.
not have enough budget. It will take us longer. The previous governments did not do anything in maintaining our underground infrastructure. As you see that in 2016 and 18, we started doing something about it. We are going to commission the Noordgedag Dam in the eastern part. You might see that the eastern part of our city still get water. That's why we're extracting that water from the eastern part, bringing it from the western part. That's why that pipeline in Noordgedag, in which we're going to put more water reticulation program to the eastern part, or to the western part of our city, and it's taking long. I took over in December, and there was no
Mm-hmm.
a clear leadership from the political leadership to do this kind of work. At least now we have a moral joint operations committee that every Monday we look into this. I receive reports. That's why even
Mm-hmm.
communication improved. We're able to tell people when this maintenance plan are going to happen. As I can tell you that between now and Friday, there are certain areas where we'll be maintaining pipelines where maybe for a day we won't have water. Not all the time is that we do not
Mm-hmm.
have water. Maybe there's a part best where I stay, for instance, in Warmer Park. You're in Warmer Heights. There was no water yesterday because we're
Yes.
maintaining the bed there.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we know some of these things happen because we've not planned them, but we have a reaction plan to react in time. But when we are finished with that work, it takes time again to circulate water to people because water flows through the water pipes. That we
Mm-hmm.
are, of course, in a way of managing water. Our responsibility is to reduce our water consumption from 300 megaliters to 200 megaliters. In the past, we're saying 250. National Treasurer said we must reduce this to 200
Mm-hmm.
megaliters if we want to deal with this situation. The issue is that we are running against time because we're not governed properly before. It's not that we cannot provide water. We do have water,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but the planning and the development plan was not there. I had to deal with this
Okay.
issue in 6 months, and we have naughty residents, more than 30,000 household are using more than 15 kiloliters of water a month, which are extreme water users. And you have to deal with that situation. That's why we're introducing plan to make sure that we penalize those individuals because they are not only enjoying the water, but they are affecting a lot, many of us, in terms
Mm-hmm.
of our water. That's why we have to partner together to make sure that we reduce this. And every liter that we save, we are saving a day for us together to have more water for our people in order for us to finish the planning of dealing with the water crisis into our city.
Makes sense. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for shedding some light on this issue. Now we will be getting to some of the questions that were sent in by our viewers. So, first up, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to read you a question that we have from Mr. David Hamer from Kahakama Park. He said, I appreciate there are a lot of priorities, but why are we still waiting for basic service delivery like road markings, potholes, grass cutting, real and visible metro policing, litter, and street lights? It is also painfully slow. A few white lines here and there, a bit of grass cutting or curb clearance, but no real concerted efforts to make a difference. Mr. Mayor, what is your response to this?
I am so proud to be sitting here and telling you that Nelson Mandela again is a construction site. We have made
Mm-hmm,
sure that we're building roads, road surfacing, a number of areas. You can see we're fixing potholes. We were
mm-hmm,
fixing close to 1.2 1,200 potholes a week, trying to make sure that we maintain our roads. You can see wherever you go today in PE, I passed yesterday in Charlo, there was grass cutting. everywhere,
Mhm.
bush cutting everywhere. We're fixing lights. Look at what is happening in the N2, the LED lights we're putting up in areas where it's dark. We're making these areas bright again. But the issue of cable theft continues to be a problem. That's why
Mhm.
in areas where there's serious and severe cable theft, we're introducing the big lights, high mast lights to make sure that we deal with this situation. We do a street marking. In our roads, we go to Cape Road, we go to these areas, we're doing it. They are necessary. Those are not things that we're supposed to be celebrating. Those are things that a local state is supposed to be doing. But the past 3 years, when we're not in government, those things were not happening. And we had
Mhm.
to do them because they are basic services. And I can tell you that before we took over in December, there was no contract for anything, including just one single bulb for 2 years.
Mhm.
Then we had to make sure that we make these bulbs and these contracts available. That's why we see more construction happening. And unfortunately, between that period when we were removing power until December last year, that the city could have lost 1.6 billion rand. That's why there was
Mhm.
nothing because the national treasury withheld the money from the city because of mismanagement, instability, lack of accountability, and lack of consequence management. And I'm so proud that we were able to save that 1.6 billion rand. But remember that 3 years when we were out, we lost 500 million rand because of rollovers. We also lost 163 million rand for water and
Mhm.
infrastructure and so on. This is when you elect and put people who are not capable of government because it affects directly service delivery. I had, in a very short space of time, work with a limited amount of money and try to turn
Mhm.
around the city. And I'm so proud that we have done that. We've put up consequence management. You will remember that forensic audits that were not there, we're able to take them to council,
Mhm.
suspended officials, because we must make sure that there's consequence to mismanagement.
Mhm.
And I'm so proud that we were able to do that as a city. The confidence of the national treasury is back to the city because you can see that the city is bit stable because we have a vision and a vision of the city, not the vision of the mayor. And you know that all these contracts now are working down the ground as I'm speaking, and I'm so proud of the mayor. And Salga was speaking to me yesterday, the deputy minister of finance and everybody say, what are you doing differently in a short space of time?
Mhm.
What we
Mhm.
that we take decisions in time, we make sure that we do oversight, we make sure that the people who are supposed to do things they do, and we make them accountable. That's how government is supposed to be because we serve in the goodwill of the people and in the service of the people. And I'm so proud to be leading a city in construction, not in destruction.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Let's move on to the next question. It's from Polly van Niekerk from Parsons Hill. He asked, wonderful work that this DA Mayor is achieving, for which we ratepayers are most grateful. I know there is so much that needs to be done, but I do feel that our roads desperately need to be marked or painted again. Cape Road, especially when approaching Greenacres Hospital, is a nightmare to drive along. There are no longer any discernible demarcations visible, and drivers are becoming more and more inconsiderate. And one is constantly on one's nerves that the car next to you will simply drift across non existent lanes. All main roads or roads that carry heavy traffic should be prioritized. Please, Honorable Mr. Mayor, let our roads be painted. Mr. Mayor, what's your response to this?
I promise you that will be, I promise you that will be done. We have a plan not only for Port Elizabeth and Cape Road, we're going to dispatch and we're going to Utney to make sure
Mm-hmm,
that these basic things are done. We have budgeted in the 1st of July 2021 not less than 142 million rand for road resurfacing. That will include Cape Road, fixing of potholes and painting street marks throughout the city, including unit and dispatch. We've also budgeted 15 million rand for rehabilitation of our roads, 12 million rand to increase the capacity of roads, adding extra lanes to remaining arterials. What you're talking about, that's what we're going to do. Your question regarding green acres, it is one of those green acres in the list of what we are going to do. And all
Mhm.
those who have asked can see that we are at city at work and we're doing this work. I'll thank you for your kind words and understanding that it will take many years and it took many years of neglect for us to be able to do what we're doing today. And I commit that in the period that we govern, you're going to see fundamental change because there's a blue clear line between when the coalition of corruption and the DA coalition was leading. Clear blue clear line, a collapse and the destruction of the city. On the other side of this new coalition, a reconstruction and development of the city, with not only leadership at the helm, but an inspired residents who believe that at least there's a glimmer of hope, including businesses who starting to have confidence on what is happening here. And not only businesses, including government, starting to hold hands with us and working with us. Because this city works because all of us, we hold hands to make sure that we construct a future that is better for our children.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Our last question is from Keith Murcott in Miramar. He asked, what is being done with regards to security in St. George's Park? The oldest tennis club in SA, Nqaba Bhanga, the Port Elizabeth Lawn Tennis Club, is slowly being decimated by thieves and vandals who reside unhindered in the park. Muggings, stabbings, and similar atrocities are committed regularly. Metro security are not effective in curbing crime in the park. What is your response, Mr. Mayor?
I must say, I have started to put up a plan to deal with this situation, not only in George's Park, in St. George's Park. For the past 2 years, when we're not in government, facilities, municipal facilities, churches, walls have been destroyed throughout the city. The beachfront, there were vandals out there. And the government was folding its arms and watching a match that it was supposed to be playing. I've put up a plan. We had 900 security officers who were sitting here and doing nothing. I've deployed them in some of these facilities to make sure that they monitor what is supposed to happen and protect these facilities. In addition to that, I've hired private security companies, arm response, in order for them to react where we put alarms in these things. We want to arrest these people. We have to make sure that we are decisive in dealing with people destroying municipal facilities. Therefore, the issue in St. George's is going to be attended. Funding it again and restructuring, we must start first protect these facilities. I have established a vandalism committee. There's a vandalism hotline that is working so hard to deal with this issue. I'm also looking into areas of a smart city, reviving the camera system into our city, CCTV, to make sure that we get these people and arrest them. And one partnership and working with neighborhood watches to make sure that we do that. Private security companies are on board, the South African Police Services. We are going to win against vandalism of our properties, and we are going to make sure that people are brought to book and we act against those. I'm so proud that we're doing progress in defending municipal infrastructure.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Mayor. If your question was not answered today, don't worry, as all the questions that the Express received have been sent to the Mayor's office, and these issues will be sent to the relevant departments. If you have a query that you would like Mr. Bhanga to possibly address during our next live sit down in August, keep an eye on the PE Express and UD Express Facebook pages for the links. We are now going to take a look at some of the questions from our live viewers. I'll just see if there are any questions coming up from our live viewers. Okay, there's a question. Ntombontlanga de Lima, good morning. We've been reporting the street lights in Nkombe. It's the Motherwell NU9. It's winter now. People are being robbed, especially when they are going to the taxi rank in the morning. Your response, Mr. Mayor?
I must say one of the problems in Motherwell is cable theft. If you look at the traffic lights, for instance, they're not functioning. which we fix them today with a cable, they're gone. Now, what we have decided to do, in particular in those areas where there is a massive cable theft, we're going to put high mast to make sure that the township is bright again. We've started now, as I'm speaking, maintaining the old high mast. We're going to add, we have budgeted for this. Therefore, the issue of lighting is a concern to us. But the issue of cable theft is a big problem. But we can't fold our arms and do nothing. That's why I have taken a decision that with high mast, there must be introduced, and then they are doing that as we speak right now. And if there is a high mast that is not maintained in Kombe, therefore my office is going to make a follow-up to make sure that Kombe is bright again.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Let's see if we have another question from one of our viewers coming up. Any other question, maybe? Ronel Viljoen, what about clearing of bush cutting on the erf of NMMM in Nerina Avenue? Asking since 2020, looking terrible. Mr. Mayor, a response?
We have noted that. I'm going to send up my team to make sure that that is dealt with. We have a plan to deal with bush cutting throughout the city. We have seen it being done somewhere. Therefore, I've noted what has been reported, but the ERF number is not written in the area. I would be very happy that if the ERF number or the street that are close to that area are given to us for us to deal with that. We do have a contract to deal with.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. Thank you, Mr. Bhanga, once again for joining us this morning, and we look forward to having you with us again virtually next month.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day, Mr. Mayor.
So, thank you.
And thank you to all of you, our viewers, for joining us this morning. Please feel free to share this video with your friends and to follow us on Facebook for regular updates and news. Until next time, next month, goodbye.